Today, I'm going to present a very simple but challenging equilibrium exercise that you can try out. The basic premise is to, while standing, lift the fronts of your feet off the ground. You don't need to lift them very high, it can be a tiny amount, but see if you can get the toes and the heads of the metatarsals off the ground. Essentially, you are leaning the torso back a very small amount to take the weight off your forefoot. The reason this exercise is difficult is because most people in the modern world have a habit of pushing their pelvis and midsection forward. When you have your weight leaning forward like this, it's not really possible to lift the fronts of your feet up. The primary goal is to maintain the lengthening of your back as you go up on your heels. The most common issue will occur if you pull your head, upper torso, or arms back. You will end up losing your balance backwards. While it's best to video record yourself or use a mirror while doing this, you'll know if you're shortening your back because you'll fall, either back down to your feet or more commonly, backwards. It's key to keep the back of your pelvis down. That is, you can't let the pelvis rotate in a way where the front goes down and the back lifts. However, you absolutely need to lift the back of your ribcage up away from the back of the pelvis. You can't allow the pulling down at the back of the pelvis to pull the back of the ribcage down. Instead, you want to increase the distance between these bony structures. You want to keep your calves and lower sacrum directed forward, as allowing either of these to come back will cause you to tip back. When you're ready to lift the fronts of your feet, move the fronts of your thighs, your pelvis, and your lower ribs back in space. If you keep your upper sternum and whole upper torso as forward as you can, you will be able to lift the fronts of your feet off the ground. Try to stay on your heels for 5 or 10 seconds. If you can stay longer, feel free to. But when you can't stay any longer, try to walk forwards or backwards on your heels. It will look a little funny, but it will allow you to continue the equilibrium game in a new way. If you're having trouble getting the fronts of your feet up, there are a couple of things you can do to help yourself. You can put your hands and arms forward, you can even hold a stick, in order to get more weight forward. I do recommend standing with a wall relatively close behind you, so that if you fall back, the wall will catch you. This will allow you to not have to worry so much about falling back. You can also try just walking forward or backwards on your heels, rather than standing first. Standing is a little bit more challenging. I would love to hear your experience trying this exercise out. While this is a test of balance and your ability to control your movements, you may feel an engagement of certain muscles in both the legs and torso that is unfamiliar. This is because this exercise forces you to lengthen the musculature of the legs and torso as they're engaged in a contraction, which can go strongly against your habit. That internal fight between the new coordination and your habit can be draining, but it is a good challenge to help you build skill in coordinating movements together. Ultimately, this game helps us understand that a different equilibrium, where our midsection and pelvis are much further back, is possible if we coordinate the right movements. So try it out and let me know what you think.